Have you ever thought to yourself, I need to be a stronger instructional leader? And then you wondered, well, what does that really mean? Let's be real. Sometimes it feels like we're expected to lead instruction without ever having time to teach instruction. Today, I'm unpacking what that phrase really looks like in action and how you can model instructional leadership daily without adding 10 more things to your plate. Let's get started. Hi, friend. Are you ready to move into a leadership position? Do you have interests and ambitions that you want to pursue, but feel like you don't know how to take that next step? Maybe you want to start your own coaching or consulting agency. I'm Mel, and I help educators define their career path through correct mindset, knowing your options, and getting prepared for your career transition. I will show you how to level up your leadership skills, share your expertise in a new way, create impact on a larger scale, and put your leadership in motion. As an educator for over 20 years, I started to feel underused and like I had more to give. I knew when the time had come for me to leave the classroom and affect change on a larger level. Now, I'm ready to help you determine where your talents and skills mesh with your passions and interests. Put your leadership in motion and move into that next phase of your educational career journey. Let me help you define your career path by having the right mindset, knowing your options, and getting prepared for that next leadership position. So power up and put your leadership in motion. Hey, Empowered Educators. Welcome to the Empowered Educator Show, where we talk all things leadership, mindset, and the practical moves that make schools thrive. I'm your host, Dr. Mel, and today I'm going to be pulling back the curtain on one of the most misunderstood parts of our job, being an instructional leader. Guys, there are so many instructional leadership books out there. I was blown away. I wanted to Google it today to see how many there actually were, and I found so many that I can't even tell you all of them. There are books by Baruti Kefele. There are books by Peter DeWitt. One that I use as an instructional leader is Paul Bamberg Santoyo, Leverage Leadership. And when I was working on probably my doctorate or maybe my building admin degree, I had to read parts of The Principal as Curriculum Leader or Instructional Leader or something like that. But what I'm saying is if you want to learn more about being an instructional leader, there are a plethora of books out there for you to choose from. And we talk about being an instructional leader all the time. But what does it really mean to lead instruction as a principal or an assistant principal or a curriculum instructor or, as I was, a dean of instruction? Is it about walkthroughs and data meetings? Is it about coaching teachers? Is it about curriculum alignment? Yes and no. Instructional leadership isn't just about what you do. It's about how you show up. So let's break it down to what it actually looks like on a day-to-day basis. So number one, instructional leadership starts with visibility. You cannot lead instruction from your office, guys. Instructional leadership starts with being present in classrooms. You cannot evaluate a teacher if you are not in the classroom often enough. But you can't just go in there in an evaluative manner. You have to go in there just to see what's going on. Your teachers don't want you in there all the time just giving them an evaluation. They want you coming in and seeing all the great things that are happening in their classroom. And when teachers see you in their rooms regularly, not just during observations, it sends a great message that instruction really matters in your building and that you care about the craft of your teachers. So pop into classrooms, maybe just for 5 minutes, and then jot down one thing that you noticed that went well and one question to reflect on later with the teacher. Over time, those short little intentional visits, they're going to build trust and set the tone for a culture of growth. Now, in our district, we go in weekly for real-time feedback, but don't just go in for real-time feedback once a week. Pop in at different times of the day and different days of the week so you can see what's happening, and then you can leave an encouraging note. The teachers will be so appreciative that you noticed the good things and not just their growth areas. When I need to learn something, I have to have somebody show me so I can get that mental model in my head. Sometimes when it's really hard for me to play something on the piano, I will have one of the really good pianists, which is pretty much anybody but me, show me what they're doing. And once I see it, I'm usually able to replicate it. Instructional leaders are lead learners. That means that we don't just talk about effective strategies, we demonstrate them. When you're leading a professional development session, model for your teachers what you want to see them doing. When you're trying to get their attention, hold your hand up, count backward from 5, and model for your teachers what it looks like to get someone's attention without yelling across the classroom. Use the same engagement strategies that you expect your teachers to use. When I'm doing professional development, I model the strategies that I'm wanting them to learn. If you're coaching, model a mini lesson or co-teach. When I'm doing real-time feedback, if I have told the teacher what I expect or what the real-time feedback is, and they just can't get it, I will model it for them so they can see it in action. And then they're more likely or more able to do it themselves. Use your staff meetings as a mini classroom, if you will. Teach your staff something, facilitate a reflection, and then invite some feedback from your teachers. Let your leadership meetings mirror great instruction. They're purposeful, they're engaging, and they're centered on learning outcomes. My best friend is a middle school principal, and she said something to me one day that just blew me away. She said, "Your mind can't go where your body hasn't been." Mic drop moment, because I never even looked at it that way. If you haven't physically done it, sometimes your mind can't wrap itself around it to be able to do it. I can visualize playing a song perfectly. But if I don't sit down and practice it and make my body do it, make my hands hit the notes correctly, then I can't ever perfect it. Number 3 is focus the work around a common language of practice. One of the biggest mistakes that leaders make is trying to do too many instructional initiatives at once. Instead, anchor your school's instructional focus in one common framework or language. Something like Teach Like a Champion or Get Better Faster, or whatever your district uses. Actually, in my district, we use both. We use Get Better Faster and Teach Like a Champion only because they go hand in hand, and there are so many common economies of language between the two that they just pair nicely, and you can actually use them together seamlessly. If your focus is on student engagement, define what that looks like across classrooms. Give teachers a shared vocabulary, which you can find in both of these frameworks. And then keep looping back to it in those walkthroughs. The way that we do it in our district is we'll go in for a real-time feedback session. We only are in there for just a few minutes. We look for one specific action step. We provide that real-time feedback. Then we leave the classroom. Next week, when I come back in, I'm looking for that exact same thing. Sometimes you have to get creative when you go in, depending on what it is. Classroom management is one that you can see pretty much anytime. You can even see that in the hallway and provide real-time feedback in that setting as well. But when you give that action step, that's what you're looking for next week. And then if they master it, you look for something else and you repeat the whole cycle over and over and over. Then you follow up with a coaching session if there's a struggle area and they're just not mastering it. But you still want to have coaching sessions around their instruction, so you make sure the instruction is solid in your building. Repetition builds mastery. And for point number 4, I want to hit on that real-time feedback just a little bit more. Not just that formal feedback. Instructional leadership isn't about just paperwork, guys. It's about partnership. When you see strong instruction, name it immediately. That's that see it, name it, do it framework. When you see that growth area, give one clear next step that teachers can act on tomorrow. Remember, it's bite-sized feedback that they can do in a short amount of time. And when you do the coaching meeting outside of your real-time feedback, you can phrase things like, I noticed your students really leaned into that discussion question. What would it look like if you extended that with a quick turn and talk next time? It's short, it's very specific, and it focuses on impact rather than just compliance. And my last point is to build systems that protect the work. If you want to lead instruction, you have to make a space for it. That means creating systems that protect your instructional time. Put your walkthroughs on your calendar and protect that time. Delegating those non-instructional tasks. A principal that I worked with recently was spending a lot of their time and their energy on tasks that were not instructional or academically based. Things that the PTA or the PTO should have been doing instead of the principal, because that was taking a lot of their time and they weren't getting into the classrooms to see instruction. So we talked about that and I coached them on delegate those non-instructional activities to someone else and you focus on instruction. My point is that instructional leadership is impossible if your calendar doesn't reflect it. Protect your priorities so you can protect the purpose. Let's recap. What does instructional leadership really mean as a building leader? First, it means you're visible and curious about classroom practice. Second, it means you model learning and teaching in everything you do. Third, you create a shared focus around what great instruction looks like. Fourth, you give real-time, meaningful feedback that is bite-sized and impactful. And last, you build systems that support instruction, not sabotage it. So here's your action step for this week. I want you to block 30 minutes on your calendar for classroom visibility. Choose 2 classrooms to visit, not to evaluate, but to learn. Write down one thing that inspired you and one question that you can bring to your next leadership or PLC meeting. And I don't mean, hey, how could you have done this better? I mean, tell me more about what you did so you can learn. That's how instructional leadership starts, with one intentional step toward growth. Remember, you don't have to know everything to lead instruction well. You just have to stay curious. You have to be visible, and you have to keep learning alongside your team. That's what true instructional leadership looks like. You're modeling learning. Thank you for tuning in to the Empowered Educator Show. If this episode helped you see your leadership in a new light, would you please do me a solid and share it with another principal or assistant principal or instructional coach who's doing the work with heart? Until next time, keep leading with purpose, people, and process, and keep going that extra mile to motivate, inspire, lead, and empower. Have an amazing weekend. Bye-bye.